5, 4, 3. Hi, everybody. Dugroz here with Dugroz Reports. Welcome to my Saturday morning live stream. Today is Saturday, December the 13th, 2025. And I'm reporting live from my house. Good to see each and every one of you on board this morning. Sorry for a small delay in getting here. Let's go around the horn and see who's on board. Let me know if you can hear me okay. Tom Graber has arrived and drops a membership donation. Celebrate. Thank you for donating a membership, Tom. I really appreciate it. Just as good as a $3 super chat. LN drops a $1.49 super chat. Celebrate. Thank you. And that is worthy of 1,000 Dugroz points. So thank you so much. I'd rather have 1,000 Dugroz points than 1,000 Mesa points right about now. Yikes. Yeah, we'll get to that. That is part of the show today. Today's main event or theme of the day is the leftovers. Leftover stuff in points and miles. You ever have like some points over here and some points over here and some points over here, and it just kind of feels like eating leftovers after a holiday? I mean, it's okay, but it's not as good as the main event. Let's talk about that. Tio Rico is here. Howdy, how you doing? Dad on a mission. Good to see you. Ian K. Anyone go from rap to Dugroz Saturday mornings? What a 180. Hey, as long as it gets you in the door. Juan is here from the MIA. How you doing, Juan? Good morning, Doug and everyone. Good to see you. And Studio 2K also drops that $1.49 super sticker. Celebrate. Thank you, Studio. Boom, 1,000 Dugroz points for you. Anybody who donates exactly $1.49 gets 1,000 Dugroz points. Kagito is here. Good to see you. Juan says, I'm following up on your latest U.S. Bank Altitude Reserve video. My annual fee hit on 12/10. I called U.S. Bank yesterday and product changed to an Altitude Connect. Told me it would send separate envelope to return the USB-AR card. Odd. It's probably because it's made out of metal and they don't want you to try to destroy it yourself, although I've never found it to be that big of a deal. In fact, sometimes I've put them in the wrong envelope on purpose. Like, you know, if I've got an old Capital One, I'll put it in an Amex envelope along with an old gold card and send it back. You can deal with this one also. Nuracan is here. How you doing? Dad on a mission asks, are you still planning on getting the Ritz card after the minor devaluation? Well, I'm going to be honest with you, Dad. I don't know what that minor devaluation is, so why don't you fill me in and then I can make a more educated decision. 39 people on board. Go ahead and click the thumbs up button if you've not yet done so. That'll drive more people in here. Ian says, I feel like you get a lot of mailers in your house. Are your reports locked or unlocked? Unlocked. Good question. LN says, didn't Chase used to send envelopes that return expired metal cards? I don't think they do that anymore. I don't remember, but Amex still does. And then Juan Garcia drops 5 Dugroz Reports memberships. Well, let's see. 3 times 5 is 15. That's just as good as a $15 super chat. Celebrate. Thank you, Juan. I appreciate it. Sally Beery is here, and Ian says, delay of game on the offense, number 1. That's a 20,000 point penalty. Replay, first down. Delay of game. Yep, on me. I'm sorry. LN says, I redeemed down to 1 U.S. bar point this week. Annual fee doesn't hit until next summer, so now I just wait to see what happens or doesn't happen next week. I think we're all kind of wondering about that. In fact, to be a little more specific, the Altitude Reserve, there's conflicting data. I have seen, like, the original flyer said something like what's changing on December 15th and, you know, all the nerfs. And then it also says, also, we're bringing in transfer partners. But then all subsequent communication is one of 2 things. It either says, well, we will eventually, or it's so vague, it's like we might offer transfer partners. Somebody, I think it was Yuri G. If you're in here, Yuri, say hi. Said on Discord that he talked to a U.S. Bank rep on the phone who said the option to transfer points is just going to be they will buy points for you on points.com. Can't verify that. Unless there's some special rate or something, that just seems super lame. I could just cash out and do that myself. Lil Russ said, with what in the discontinued Mesa homeowner card heck is going on, Todd? Matt says, howdy. Any more point systems going up in a collapse today? Fargonaut, hey all. In case you haven't heard, yes, Mesa is having problems. And that'll be one of our data points. So just hang in there. Fargonaut, D Green, good morning all. Catch 631. It's a good point to pause and just go ahead and dive right on into Dugroz data points. I almost always start the live stream kind of going around the horn in the world of points and miles. Anything that interests me, a lot of these are personal data points, and some of them are from the web at large. I talked about doing a Capital One offer, elevated earnings offer within the Capital One app. It was 10 times points at CVS Pharmacy. And I went to my local CVS and bought a gift card for $100. It was an Amazon gift card. 100 times 10 is 1,000. So that's maxing it out. Plus, I was the Venture X, so I got 2X on everything, 12X points. And I just wanted to provide the data point. Good news, your miles are here. And you see down at the bottom, 1,000 miles. So that did, in fact, work. And there was also a situation where the gift card that I bought had a problem with it, where like some of the packaging ripped off some numbers in the middle. One person speculated it may have been tampering. It ended up not being tampering. It was just a genuine packaging issue. So I couldn't read it to tell what the claim code is. And it says right on there, like, if you can't tell what it is, do not guess. If you make too many wrong guesses, we'll lock your account. So I made like 2 guesses and then I gave up. The first time I chatted with Amazon customer service, they said someone will reach out to me by email within 3 to 5 days. That didn't happen, so I chatted again. The only part that was difficult was getting to the right person, but after chatting enough, eventually they got me to like their special investigation team or their SWAT team, or we know how to fix gift card teams. And from that point, it was super easy. All I had to do was provide the serial number, which is the number at the bottom. And I think they asked me for the dollar amount. They didn't even ask me for proof of purchase, and said, if you're okay with me just adding it to your account, I can take care of this right now. And I'm like, yeah, that'd be great. And they did within like 3 minutes. They wanted me to take a picture and upload it. Actually, I have a screenshot of that chat going on here. So yeah, I won't read all the details, but it does chat. It says, share a photo. They gave me a URL, which I've blurred out, to upload the photo. And then success, the $100 will be added to your gift card balance within 2 to 3 hours. And I said, I already see it in the account. Yeah, so actually, Amazon's pretty good at dealing with this situation with like a damaged gift card. So don't be too scared if it happens to you. Just save your gift card and your receipt. And then friend of the channel and supporter Fleet Easily added a comment that I think is helpful. He says, I've been tinkering around with the CVS in-store promo that Capital One offers. It stacks with other in-store shopping offers. So far, I've broken it into 3 brackets. Level 1, Capital One in-store offer. Level 2, Rakuten or Built. Got to pick one or the other. Level 3, Atmos or AA Advantage Shopping or United Mileage Plus. They seem to run the same kind of thing. So again, you got to pick one. Yeah, so just to let you know, you can kind of do a triple stack. And here I am. All I got was the Capital One points. I didn't even think to check for Rakuten in-store offers. I definitely should have. It just didn't pop into my head. So thank you for that data point, Fleet. Ketch says the sound is good. I'm glad to hear it. Thank you. Juan says, when you product change from the Altitude Reserve to the Altitude Connect, you'll need to re-register for real-time rewards. Thank you. I appreciate that. Ron Byrne is planning to triple dip the new the new City Strata Elite. Congratulations on getting the City Strata Elite, Ron. I was posting some things on my members only side recently about possibly applying for the Strata Elite and asking when the best time is to triple dip. Some people were like, oh, I think it ends today, so you better do it. If you want in on that type of action, you can become a channel member too. It's called a Dugroz Diehard. It's my only channel membership level. $3 a month. You can cancel anytime. I have over 50 members only videos. Well, if you count in the shorts, I have over 60 members only videos. And if you want to sign up for a month or two, binge watch and then cancel out, I won't be upset. You also get access to cool things like more speculative posts. I was doing some speculating on Aeroplan, some speculating on the City Strata Elite that only members get, and priority comments and priority releases. So there's a lot of benefits to being a Dugroz Diehard. I try to take it seriously and make it worth your membership. Anything you donate to my channel, whether it's a super chat, super sticker, channel membership, become a channel membership, we'll do a little celebration if you do it during the live stream. 80% of it goes to support my channel and is reinvested, and then 20% supports my family budget, because this is kind of like a part-time job. So my wife and kids deserve a little slice of the pie at least. You can also use the tip jar link down in the URL. You will find something called a tip jar if you want to donate anonymously, or if you just want a smaller percentage of fees to go to YouTube. I'll try to remember to check that repeatedly during the live stream. All right, enough self-aggrandizement. Let's keep going here. Thanks for the transition, Ron. Richard says, Mesa shocker. Yep, we'll get to that. Gentleman Explorer says, speaking of rap, new Nas X Primo album, amazing. I don't know what the entire second half of that sentence means, but I'm glad you enjoy it. Down on a Mission says, they're limiting lounge access. Article on Frequent Miler. Who is they? Oh, Ritz, the Ritz-Carlton. Oh, dun, 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 dun. How much? I can understand not being unlimited. I'm really hoping you can get in 3 guests because I've got a family of 4. Oh, here's the answer, Fishbulb. Ritz went from unlimited guests to 2 plus a $20 fee, $27 fee. Is it any after 2 guests are $27 or the 2 guests include a $27 fee? The Ritz-Carlton no longer have Sapphire or Party Pass lounge access with unlimited guests starting in the middle of January. That's a bummer. Talking about the Cognito Ergo's name. And Gentleman Explorer gifts 1 membership. Hey, we were just talking about that. Thank you so much. Just as good as a $3 super chat. Celebrate. Appreciate it. Juan clarifies it's been nerfed to a max of 2, aligning with the CSR. And yes, exactly. Saving an additional message. Okie West says, Mesa has me scared of a no-notice cancellation with Built. I got that. Ian says, we should have seen the writing on the wall with Mesa. Issuer was involved in a Ponzi scheme lawsuit earlier this week. Yes, okay. I'll just skip ahead to the Mesa stuff now because everybody wants to mention it. So why not clarify it if you're one of the few who isn't in the know right now? So hat tip to friend of the channel, Matt Clausen, who's the one who alerted it to me, although lots of people have covered it. This was last night. I saw it around like 7 p.m., may have been later than that. Breaking, the Mesa credit card collapses overnight. And I watched the video, and sure enough, it's not just like been nerfed. It's gone. Like the Mesa card is shut off. I went to the Mesa website just to verify, and sure enough, effective December 12th, 2025, all Mesa homeowner card accounts are closed. Credit cards have been deactivated. You are no longer able to make new purchases or earn Mesa points. And then supposedly an email went out to all the Mesa card holders, raise your hand if you are one, that said something to the effect of you still have to pay your balances, obviously. And you can cash out your points if you want. Now, the cash out values are terrible. It's like 0.6 cents per point. It didn't specifically say you're not allowed to do point transfers, but people are reporting that when they try to do point transfers, it ain't working. So I'm glad I don't have a Mesa card. And I'm not saying like, well, look at me. I was so good. I didn't waste a 524 slot on that. No, I would be willing to take a flyer on things too. But it is kind of a bummer that this happened. I kind of just got lucky that I hadn't gotten on board with Mesa yet. I was actually strongly considering it first half of next year. It has a lot going on, and I'm paying a mortgage anyway. Why not earn some points on that? I can't say I'm surprised that it collapsed. So the question is, if you're a Mesa card holder, do you take the bird in the hand is worth 2 in the bush theory and say, well, cashing out at 0.6 cents per point really sucks, but you know what sucks even more? Losing all those points. Because if they're going into bankruptcy, there's probably something deep down in the user agreement that says, hey, those points are not your legal property or something like that. Sorry, this is a real bummer. A real bummer. Jay Brothman says, I bought a CVS gift card at 15x, but I haven't seen any extra points yet. How long did it take? It took about a week after the charge posted in my case, so I think you'll probably be fine. I know the terms and conditions might say something like gift cards are excluded, but in my 2 times I've tried this, it worked for an in-store purchase with a gift card. Now, if you go online, it might not. I don't think Capital One is sophisticated enough to be reading the level 3 transactional data. Chad Pennycuff is here, big time diehard. Cesar, longtime friend of the channel, is here. Mi hermano Doug, Mi hermano Cesar, so glad to see you, and good afternoon to everyone. Let's see. Chad says, what ended today on CSE triple dip? I don't think anything ended with certainty. We'll talk about that in a little bit. If I gave mixed signals, I apologize. 59 people on board. Please keep on clicking the thumbs up button. That's a pretty good amount. I think we already talked about that, Ian, but if you have more questions, let us know. LN clarifies the Ritz card. 2 free guests, then 27 per person after that. Oh, okay. Thank goodness. So for my family of 4, I only need to pay $27 and get all of us in. I like free better than $27, but it's okay. Sorry for the weird noise. I'm not a chipmunk. Ian says, there's a workaround for transfer the Mesa card. If you had to transfer right now or don't be upset, you can't. Workaround is on Doctor of Credit. Okay. Go look up Doctor of Credit. Thank you for the data point, Ian. Rupert Pond says, you can't even cash out anymore. No transfer point options now on the Mesa app. Awkward. Sorry, man. Chad says, CVS in-store Disney gift card triggered the Capital One rewards. Excellent. Jesus Christus here to trigger the algorithm with a W. Hey, we cleared 60. Good job. If you haven't clicked thumbs up, please do. If somebody would do the standard maneuver of this many people on board, but only this many have clicked thumbs up, I would appreciate it. Because I can't see that from where I am. Next Dugroz data point here. This is an offering from SoFi that is new. The new SoFi Smart Card, the best all-in-one account. Don't know about that. But you earn 5% cash back on grocery stores, and then it has some other things which are really not that exciting. The only exciting thing is the 5% unlimited cash back on grocery stores. Now, you do have to have a SoFi Plus membership to get this card. Technically, there's not an annual fee, but functionally there is. It's kind of like you have to have a Prime membership to get the Chase Amazon Visa Prime card. Let's say you have a SoFi account anyway. It's a $10 a month, so that's a $120 fee functionally. The only reason I see getting this card is if you're going to be doing shenanigans, because as far as I can tell, it is uncapped. There are other no annual fee cards that give 5% back on grocery stores. That one random AAA card that Uncle Luke has, you could use your custom cash, etc. Let me blow my nose here. So it's really not good in terms of just spending under $10,000. But if you're Chad Pennycuff and you're buying Disney gift cards all the time, if you're someone who like Rewards Master who just loves Taco Bell and wants to go to Safeway and buy Taco Bells in the tens of thousands of dollars, that could be a good option. Or if, like myself, you occasionally do shenanigans or use strategery, that's really the only place where I could see this be good. And frankly, I could see it being nerfed in a year, but it is out there for your consideration. I don't know what bank issues the card. Does SoFi manage their own cards, or do they go through Cardless or something like that? Well, whatevs. Let's see. Ian says, a buddy just moved 2.4 million Mesa points out a few hours ago. You can still do it. The internet will show you the way. Look on Reddit or Doctor of Credit. Interesting. And Tulare is here. Hello, Dugroz and everybody else. Glad to see you on board. I can't remember if we've met or not, but I'm happy to have you on board. You're a diehard, and I think that. Brothman loves shenanigans. SoFi Smart Card, exclamation point. Indeed. I wanted to acknowledge a couple folks who helped out my channel but didn't get acknowledged last week, and I apologize for that. I can't make this any bigger for some reason. Right as the live stream was ending, like literally as I clicked the button, 2 people dropped super chats or super stickers. George Rommel, 2012, gave a $4.99 super sticker last week. Celebrate. Thank you so much. And the Critical Chris with the cheeseburger avatar gave a $1.49 super sticker. Excuse me, $1.99 super sticker. Celebrate. Thank you, George. Thank you, Critical Chris. I appreciate both of you. Oh, and hey, look. George Rommel donates a $2.99 super sticker this week. Thank you so much, George. Celebrate. Excellent timing. Sorry that I missed you last week. Last week we got going I think it was Gentleman Explorer, correct me if I'm wrong, matched all, no, it wasn't Gentleman Explorer, it was somebody else, somebody that I haven't seen very often, matched all of your donations towards a Lego Knights Castle. Just want to let you know the Lego Knights Castle has been ordered. It's on its way, has not arrived yet. I might actually wait till after Christmas to set it up because I don't have many Christmas gifts. Typical middle-aged dad, like, what do you get them for Christmas? Nobody knows. So sometimes I just buy things for myself and say, here, give me this for Christmas to my wife and kids. So I might do that. Where was I? That SoFi card is toast, says Ian. What are your, I'll set the over under at 1 year. You let me know. Richard B. Travel said, I set all my points to Omni before the Mesa sunk. And that's interesting too, because wasn't Omni announced as a transfer partner? Like, I just explained that on last week's live stream. Omni's joining Mesa. Psych! They're not. Illegal substitution on the Mesa card. Interesting data point. Well, maybe not interesting. A data point that goes hand in hand with the Lego Castle. I used the Chase portal to get 2x points on that, which isn't a lot, but there wasn't anything tremendous. I think Rakuten had 2.5 on the day I ordered. And I thought about waiting around. I know back on Black Friday it was way better, but hey, I got it at Chase. This kind of ties in with the theme of the day, so I won't get to it there. But the question right now, I will get to it there. Question for all of you to think about. You don't have to answer. Keep your hands down. But just for the sake of thought exercise, do you take the highest paying portal when you're using either card linked offers or cookie based portals? Or do you take the one that you already have, so it's adding to a pool of funds that's already in existence, or some combination of the two? Talk amongst yourselves. Looking at my credit health, I applied for the Capital One Saver card about 3 weeks ago. And as we know, Capital One pulls all 3 credit bureaus, which they did. When I did that on my TransUnion report, for some reason, it dropped by about 15 or 16 points. Well, 2 weeks later, it rebounded. So still up in the 800s. And not that your credit score is that big of a deal, the score itself. There's other factors like velocity, 524, that are way more important. But, I just like to share these examples to give people peace of mind. You're not going to be sunk by inquiries unless you're going like 70 a month or something. Your score rebounds. It's fine. Whatever. The difference between 750 and 814 is probably, I wouldn't say meaningless, but it doesn't mean a whole lot. Bill writes here. How you doing, Bill? Good to see you. He's a diehard. I think the credit card people behind the next Bilt will be meeting Monday. Bilt, B-I-L-T, probably. Wells Fargo can show I5S can show it's not a viable business model. Are you an insider, Bill, or you just read lots of rumors and stuff? For the SoFi card, Ian gives it 9 months or 1/6 seconds on Kroger promo. Yeah, and if that's stacked with 5% cash back, that'd be something. 11x. Mike says, my Uber app had a 15% discount when sending an instant gift card, so player 2 received $100 worth of Uber cash for 5,677 US bar points. I hope this others get epic value from their US bar card. Awesome. Anthony says, Lego my ego. I'd love to eat Egos while playing with Legos. Anthony says, adding to the pool, I'd say if it will make or break a future redemption. So you would rather add to a pool of points you already have than something that has a higher cents per point, but you don't have many. KC says, a Lego Christmas gift is the best Christmas gift. I got Eldorado Fortress when I was about 11 and loved it. Calderds, how you doing? Calderds says, I think the Omni announcement was a subtle reminder to transfer your points out now. I don't think Omni would have jumped on board if they knew they were going bankrupt a week later, but maybe. Who knows? They might know something I don't know. I know the answer, but if I told you, I'd have to kill you. All right, next Dugroz data point here. This is something of a personal data point. So you know that I've been bantying the idea about for quite some time to go ahead and get the City Strata Elite. That 100,000 point sign-up bonus is hard to turn down. There are no refer a friend offers, so I wasn't able to go to a friend and ask them. So I just went with the public offer. I don't have a city branch anywhere near me. I didn't want to use one of those old funny links. That's too risky. So I just used the public offer, which as of Thursday night was 100,000 points after spending $6,000 in the first 3 months. Well, I'm like, you know what? I put a poll out. I talked it over with my diehards, my council of advisors, and we all agreed, hey, man, let's just go for it. It's still middle of December. You can get in some triple dips. And I'm proud to announce, you're all set. That's their way of saying you're approved. City Strata Elite, you're approved. Your card will arrive within 3 business days in a small package via express courier. I hope it's like an actual box about this big, like perfectly square with a ribbon on it or something. Got a $19,000 credit limit, which is plenty to do what I need to do. I was just thrilled that despite my moderate velocity, I got in. I think I was, let's see, I had the Ink Unlimited that I applied for. This is just within like the last 6 months. Ink Unlimited, that's a hard pull, but not a 524 type thing. Doesn't show on my credit report. The Marriott card, so that's one. The Saver, and the US Bank Triple Cash might have been within the last month. So 4 hard pulls, 2 new applications in the last 6 months, and they still let me in, which I was happy about. So now I do, in fact, have a quartet of city cards. I have Strata Elite, Custom Cash. I will probably turn one of those custom caches or the Strata into a double cache, so then I'll have a quartet. And you guys will need to remind me. I've been wanting to do this forever, to make a video about the city quartet. Back a while ago when you had the Strata Premier, the Rewards Plus, which doesn't exist anymore, Custom Cache and Double Cache, that was the original quartet. This is a different quartet, but I can still be all Frankie Valli and sing my way into some sort of video about it. So give me a reminder on that if you would, please. So yeah, I was excited to get approved there. 74 people on board. Only X have clicked the like button, but I am thankful for the 74 on board. So thank you. Matt says 2.4 million Mesa points in 10 months. Yeah, people are clowns, and the reason we can't have nice things. That's just stupidly egregious. Too bad this person was given a workaround. Thanks for sharing your opinion, Matt. I appreciate it. I don't know that I share it exactly. I'm kind of a middle ground person here. 2.4 million is probably over the top. But what if the person, you know, I'm just throwing this out there. In the town I live in, we've got some Scrooge McDuck style mini mansions that are probably over $1 million, and their mortgage is probably 40 to 50,000 a month. It's unlikely, but possible. Victor Hernandez says 74 watching and only 26 likes. Hit that button, folks. Thank you, Victor. I appreciate it. Thanks for supporting. Ian says, Matt, it's all YouTube referrals. He's got over 100,000 followers. Matt doesn't care for that excuse. We'll let that go. He says, no shenanigans. They gave him promos to push the card. Well, then that's on Mesa if they gave him the promos to push the card. Counter Everything says, I think the city inquiry thing might be bull hockey. I got approved at 4 in the last 6-month inquiries for my first city card, with 2 inquiries being 2 weeks old. I think that they probably go easy on your first application. I also speculate, and this is just speculation, I don't know this for sure, that with the Strata Elite, they also go easy on things because they're wanting to get their new card rolled out to as many people as possible. The people in the marketing department want to look good for the shareholders. Hey, look, Rex Blind is here and gifts 10, count them, 10 Dugroz Reports memberships. Early Christmas for me. Celebrate, celebrate. Ho, ho, ho. Santa Rex, thank you so much. And he says, yay, Dugroz Day. I really, really appreciate that, Rex. That supports the channel tremendously. That's just as good as $30 in super chats or stickers. All right, now where was I? City Strata Elite was approved. Okay, next Dugroz data point here is now available via referral. Chase Freedom Unlimited $300 bonus. Now, why is this a thing? Normally, if you sign up for the Chase Freedom Unlimited, it's a $200 sign up bonus after, I think, $500 worth of spending. So that's $100 more, and you can refer it. I have that card, so I'm happy to give you a referral. I don't have like a link tree. I need to. Every time I see one on Matt's page, I think to myself, why don't I do that? That looks super easy. But hit me up on Discord, put a comment on any of my videos. If you want to help me out, I'll send you the referral for the Freedom Unlimited. Maybe I can get some slush fund going. It's probably $50 or 5,000 points, but hey, those are points. Travel, earn, repeat says hit the like button. I like your avatar. Looks like the universe is being destroyed. Ian wants to know if the $100 welcome offer on the Rakuten card is normal. I just opened the other day and noticed it in the app. That's a data point I don't have any data on. Sorry, Ian. Maybe somebody can help you out. Nose blowing. Next data point, if you are local to the Midwest like myself, you can go to Hy-Vee, that's a grocery store, buy a $150 or more Visa gift card and get $10 off instantly. It's actually a combination of both Visa and MasterCard. However, there is a caveat, and here's a picture of me looking this up in my own local store. First of all, offers at Hy-Vee always go from Monday to Sunday, and this is the current week. So you've got tomorrow and today and tomorrow. That's it. This is a grocery store in the Midwest. They also own a few gas stations. It used to be increments of $150. So if you bought $450 in your prepaid gift cards, you got $30 off. They have nixed that. There's also a new regulation out that says one per person. Will they enforce that? I don't know. Probably cashier dependent, store dependent. Some stores let you pay with a credit card, some don't. So you got to do some experimentation. This is not as lucrative as it once was. Let's see. Okies says, should I transfer all my built points, Dugroz? I feel like if I give you advice here, I'm going to get myself in trouble because I don't know what the right answer is. Just because Mesa collapsed doesn't mean Built's going to collapse. I would go 70-30. 70% no, save them, use them when you need them, and you'll be okay. Built's not going to collapse overnight like Mesa did. 30% of me says, yeah, they probably are. Get out while the getting's good. This has just been a terrible year in points and miles. What's next? Sorry, all I can give you is a 70-30. I can't give you firm advice. Next, Dugroz data point. This one is hat tip to Doctor of Credit, and the last one was also, sorry for not tipping them. There's a American Express Blue Business Plus 75,000 point sign-up bonus with no lifetime language floating out there. Go over to Doctor of Credit, look it up, find a friend that has one, look it up. Frequent Miler has a link on their page too. I do not have a link for that. Also, I looked it up. Neither my wife nor I were targeted. You do have to be targeted. You might have an email. You can always go to Doctor of Credit, click the link. And if after you hit apply now, it says, sorry, this offer is expired or is not available, what that means is you were not targeted. But if you are, wow, that's amazing. I thought when I got 50,000 points, that was awesome. 75 is even better. This is their 2X Everywhere business card, 2X Everywhere membership rewards. There's also a Blue Business Cash version floating around. I think it's on the same Doctor of Credit article. Personal data point, last week we came really close to hitting my all-time record for concurrent viewers. And once I looked it up, it actually was a record. My previous record was 105. Now it's 106. So right now I'm seeing 76 people on board. If we can get that up to 107, we'll break the record again today. So keep on smashing the like button. If you make a donation, no matter how big or how small, that helps out. And I greatly appreciate it. Thank you, everyone, for your support. The growth is steady, slow, but steady. And then the very last Dugroz data point today comes from Aeroplan. This isn't anything new, but it's kind of new to me. Like I'm just now getting around to taking a look at it. I didn't realize that Air Canada's hotel program had categories or tiers, much like Hyatt. So if you don't know, Air Canada has their own hotel program called Hotel Savers, similar to like Delta Stays. You can use Air Canada points, and it's all the way from Category 1, which starts at 10,000 points, up to Category 8, which caps out at 105,000 points. And I thought to myself, oh, that could be really good, especially if you're hitting, these are ranges. So like say Category 7, you're hitting the top end of the range. It's right at or slightly under 80,000 points. That could be really good value in cents per point. And then, my app was telling me that it's better stays for fewer rewards. You can save up to 30%. And in addition to that, get a 4th night free. Whoa, on our entire hotel collection. So yeah, you mix that range, the fixed award choice with 4th night free. I'm thinking this could be really good value. But I had this thought in the back of my head. I know frequent miler, I think it was Greg, said several months ago, even with the 4th night free, these deals are still mid at best. And after looking it over, he was correct. So the rates, I only checked 3. I think I checked 1 here in the Des Moines area and then 2 in Washington, D.C. They were so bad that even with 4th night free, I think they were all around a penny per point, even with first night free. One might have been a little over, one was a little under. But considering that, at least as of now, you can pay yourself back on any travel with your Aeroplan card at 1.25 cents per point, there's no real reason to do this. I will leave the door open for maybe if you look and look and look, you'll find a great example. Have any of you booked a hotel through Aeroplan and found it to be good value? I'd love to get a data point. We just hit 80 people. That's very good for the data point segment, so keep your thumbs up coming. Catching up on comments here. And already had that. Filmo says, sorry I'm late. I had a nightmare. I was working on 6 subs at once, but it's okay. It's just 5. I may have a problem. Thank you, Filmo, for sharing. I will say you are consistent and you practice what you preach. Nuracan says, last month I cashed out all of my 70,000 points on the US Bank Altitude Reserve and was able to product change to a Connect. I also have the useless Smartly card with a credit limit of $500. Should I product change that to the Go? Yes, you should. I know some people are grandfathered into the old version of Smartly, but I think I saw a data point out there, maybe Chad or Stan or someone that has the Smartly version 1.0 on board, that like even that is getting nerfed further. Like your free trades are being, it used to be you get 100 free trades a year in the brokerage account. They're taking that away. I think like sometime next year, they said they're going to not allow you to count brokerage accounts towards your 100,000. And even if it hasn't been announced, I think it's probably coming. So yeah, I would change to anything else. Filmo's pretty funny. Edgar Crespo thinks he's pretty funny. Anthony does. Sends some hellos to each other. And he's handsome. Hey, no one can deny that. Absolutely. He is an attractive man. What's that quote from Happy Gilmore? You were right. I was wrong. You're smart. I'm stupid. You're the best. I'm the worst. You are a handsome man. I'm not good looking. Something like that. All right. Well, thank you for being on board. And now we're going to transition to our theme of the day, which is leftovers in the world of points and miles. I'm debating whether or not to take my bathroom break now or later. I think I'm going to take it now. I didn't go to the bathroom right before we started. That's on me. I apologize. But listen to some very attractive copyright-free music, and I will be back in about 2 minutes. Don't go anywhere, please. All right, almost back. Just gonna do an asthma puff. Thank you for waiting patiently. All right, catching up on comments here. Where are we / where were we? Filmo says, if only that Filmo guy would start a channel. Shut up, AV. JW Jackson says, good morning. Want to confirm you can book Southwest flights with one key cash. You must have enough for the entire cost. Very happy with my Expedia credit card so far. Great. Ziza says, yo, Roz, if we wanted to apply for the Chase Areola and never fly Aeroplan, but wanted to cover travel purchases, would you recommend waiting until January 1st to apply for it? Yes, I would. Absolutely. Not even like questionable. At this point in the year, there's no point because I'm like 60 to 70% sure they're going to continue pay yourself back on travel at 200,000 next year, but let's make sure. I would wait. Don Kim is here. Hello, how you doing? Good to see you. Rex says, ha, everyone is a member now like Pluribus, Dugrababus. I don't know what Pluribus is, but yeah, there's a lot of members because I keep getting donations. And if you watch the channel with any regularity, you're going to get donated to. Chad says, as it relates to Smartly 1.0 nerfs, they took away bonus 2x on big bills you'd really want, 4% on insurance, taxes, tuition. Some people lost counting investments. I did not. Counter everything thinks the music slaps. I think it was called Night Driving, maybe. Don't quote me. New Again says, hey, all, what did I miss? I'm in Belize right now. Got some downtime. Awesome. I want to go to Belize someday. They speak English there as their primary language. Am I correct? Jackson says, I had a dream. I was a muffler. I woke up and felt exhausted. I see what you did there. I saw it. I really did. Let's see. Rex says Dugroz gets paid to poo. It was a number one. I meant to say Aeroplan, not Areola. If you don't know, use a dictionary. I knew what you meant. And then Edgar says, so how we donated to bruh. I'm not sure if you're referencing the comment that Rex made that everyone's a member. Yeah. Oh, how do you get donated to? Somebody found out once you have to change your settings on YouTube to accept membership donations. Also, somebody has to step up and make the donation. Well, and as if right on cue, there's Mike Newland donating 20 Dugroz Reports membership. Psychic brainwave. That's what that is. Celebrate. Thank you, Mike. I really appreciate your patronage. 20. Whoa, that's just as good as $60 in chats. This guy, Mike. Absolutely. You just got Newlanded. Miles of smiles, like the avatar says. It does create a lot of smiles, especially for me. I really appreciate your patronage, Mike, and everyone else. If you got a Mike membership, wave at me. Let us know. All right, now let's transition to the theme of the day. Today's theme of the day is the leftovers. What do I mean by the leftovers? Well, in real life, we just had Thanksgiving recently. It was just a little over a week ago. Is that right? 2 weeks ago? Whatever. You make your turkey, your stuffing, your gravy, your mashed potatoes, cranberry sauce, a little tray with nuts on it, whatever. When you're done, you have a whole bunch of stuff that's just left over, like I did in this picture. And you want to utilize it somehow, but you have just a little bit of this. You have a half slice of pizza. You got 3 shrimp. You have 1 egg roll. You have like a handful of sweet potato fries. You have a cup of stuffing. You have way too much gravy. You have things in weird proportions. What do you do with them? So today, I'm going to make an analogy to points and miles, and we're going to talk about all the leftovers that I have. Just a little bit here, a little bit there, and what it all adds up to. And not only what does it add up to, but what are the implications of having a whole bunch of points and miles left over all over the place. But before I dive in here, Bill Wright has arrived. How you doing? Wants to know, has anyone found a good use of the new hotel credits on the United Quest or Club cards. Don't have either one, so I'll have to rely on somebody else to help you out. But a good question to ask. Ian is here. Well, Ian's been here. Ian, because he asked me a few weeks ago, do I want big or consistent? And I said consistent. And he has been very consistent, dropping a $4.99 super chat. Celebrate, celebrate. Merry Christmas, you filthy animal. I think the name of the movie within Home Alone is Even Filthier Souls or something like that. Nuracan drops a $1.99 super chat and a happy new year. Oh, wait, no, that's part of it too. Like, and a happy new year or something like that. Celebrate, celebrate. Did I celebrate, Ian? Celebrate, 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 both of you. Dennis wants to know how cold is it in Iowa. Let's find out here. It's snowing right now. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. It is 8 degrees and it feels like -3. Oh man, I have to pee. Well, that was me a few moments ago, not right now. All right, where was I? The main event. So we're going to talk about credit card, points and miles, leftovers. Welcome to the leftovers. So what do I mean by leftovers? Well, I kind of already explained that. You have points here, there, everywhere. It's tucked away in a container. Like maybe you flew on an airline that you don't normally fly on, or stayed at a hotel you don't stay at very often, or there was some awesome transfer opportunity. You accidentally transferred too many points, or maybe you needed 10,001 points, so you had to transfer over 11,000. So now you've got 999 left over. Or maybe you thought this was an epic strategy. I'm going to buy a bunch of points. And then they cancel their partnership with a random vacation rental booking company or something like that. So you've just got a bunch of points left over. That's what I mean. So I'm not counting the big five. So this isn't the bank issued points, really any credit card proprietary points. So like Amex MR points, that's not what I'm referencing. Wells Fargo points. They used to call them Go Far Rewards. Is that what they still call them? Well, that's what I'll call them. Wells Fargo Go Far Rewards, Chase Ultimate Rewards, Citi Thank You Points, Capital One Miles. I'm not talking about those guys. I'm talking about all the other stuff. Number 1, KLM and Air France Flying Blue. So this is the awards program of the popular airline Air France and KLM. Even though they're two different countries, two different airlines, they share a rewards program. What do I have over there? I've got 116,868 miles. Why do you have that many miles? Well, it's because of the failed Denmark expedition. So 2 years ago, 3 years ago, I don't remember. I was going to go to Denmark for spring break. I was going to do a solo trip. I had it pretty much planned out, at least the dates, like getting off work and that kind of stuff. And then something changed. I don't remember what it was, some sort of life obligation, and I wasn't able to do it. So I had to cancel the trip. So I had like 180,000 miles trapped over at Flying Blue. Well, the whole 180 wasn't from that. It was probably like 120 from that. And then my family flew on KLM to get to Europe the first time. I think I may have credited points there one time. It added up to like 170, 180, something like that. This past summer, when I flew to the United Kingdom into Manchester, England, didn't take KLM, but I took Virgin. But to get around within the continent, to reposition my family of 4 from England to Vienna, Austria, I used KLM and used up, around 30, 40,000 of those miles. So I'm left with 116,000. How do I value those? Well, I could value them at 5 cents per point. If we look at the example I have on the screen right now, on April 1st, you can fly from Minneapolis, Minnesota to London Heathrow with a layover in Amsterdam on this airline right here, KLM, for 60,000 miles plus $250-ish in taxes and fees. I did subtract that out. The direct paying direct cost would have been $3,239. So take out the fees, do the math. That comes out to right around 5 cents per point. I think it was like 4.97 cents per point or something like that. If I use that value, then I have $5,843 worth of Flying Blue miles. On the other hand, if I use it for a more basic economy repositioning flight within the continent, like we did this past summer, that was in the neighborhood of 1.2 cents per point, and that would only be $1,402 in value. So how should I value this? Well, I think there's a 50% chance I'll save it for international business class. There's a 50% chance I'll use it for repositioning. And that averages out to 3,622. So that's what I'm going to use. So I'm going to say my first leftover Tupperware container, pop the lid, make sure it burps a little, $3,600 over there with Flying Blue. As it relates to comments, Ian says, did you do improv growing up? You're such an actor. One time I did. In high school, I didn't do anything in speech and debate my first year as a freshman, but my sophomore year and junior year, I was on the debate team. I know you're shocked, right? My senior year, I didn't want to do debate, so I did speech, and the topic that I did was extemporaneous speaking. That's a little different than improv. It's not like being funny. It's like serious. Like they give you a topic, you have 1 hour to prepare, and then you have to give a speech on it. So it's like giving a speech with very little advance notice. My topic, if you're wondering, was back when President Clinton was president and a couple different women accused him of some stuff. Should you allow a state level court to bring criminal charges against a sitting president? Well, the good news is we never really need to think about that ever again, did we? Rupert says Home Alone movie is Angels with Filthy Souls, and the Happy New Year portion is only in Home Alone 2. Okay, I was getting a few different things mixed up. Thank you for clarifying that. Important clarification. Mike Newland drops a $1.49 super sticker as if the 20 memberships weren't enough. Celebrate. Thank you, Mike. You just wanted a cup of cheer in the form of 1,000 Dugroz points. There you go. Thank you so much. Nicola wants to know, did you ever product change your one key card from Wells Fargo? I did not. They wouldn't let me. It was actually my wife's, but we called in together. She gave permission for me to speak. And I said, can I do a product change to an Attune card? And they said, let me check. No. All right. Can I do a product change to an autograph? Let me check. No. What can I do? You can change it to the no annual fee one key card. That's my only option. That's your only option. So, no, I did not do the product change. We just canceled it. Alex A is here and says, thank you for the membership, Mr. Newland. Awesome. High five. Rem GB has arrived and said, good morning, Dugroz. 90 watching, but still only 45 likes. Come on, everybody. Let me show you how you do this. It's literally clicking a button. Wong Wei says, bummer to hear. Scandinavia's a nice area to visit. Oh, yeah, about my failed Denmark expedition. I have been to Sweden once in my life. It was amazing. Jay Brothman, thanks, Rex, for the membership. Great. Ian says, my leftovers built 1099, JetBlue 1500, Qatar 600, Singapore 6500, Vietnam 1000, Delta 1700, Hilton 46,000. Hey, some of those are on my list too. Mike says, how would you time applications across issuers to maximize approvals without hurting long-term eligibility? I'm going to give you a very generic answer here with your mileage may vary. Somebody actually asked me this the other day. Now, this was someone who was younger, like 24, 25, 28, something like that. Him and his wife had just got into points and miles very recently. Not even points and miles. They were more interested in cashback cards. But asked, like, is there any harm if I kind of go whole hog? And what I told him was, here's a rule of thumb I would recommend is you go every 6 months and your wife go every 6 months, but stagger. So like first quarter player 1, second quarter player 2, third quarter player 1, fourth quarter player 2. I think that's a good velocity for newbies. When you get a little more advanced, I would say maybe you could do the same thing, but switch it to like every other month. So January player 1, March player 2, May player 1, July player 2, so on and so forth. That's kind of my general rule of thumb. I hope that helps. Let's see. Kiona Wheeler, I think that's how you pronounce it. Sorry if I'm wrong. Says, you remind me of the dad from Modern Family. I just watched a clip of a YouTube short on there. That's funny. Thank you. I appreciate that. He is a funny guy. Hopefully I'm a little less incompetent. Imagine Wrong says, a little behind. Did you use the city pre-approval tool first? Nope. I just went full send. I'm not going to say that first sentence out loud, Ian, but I hear what you're saying. That's what I heard when you said Clinton. Yes. The Southeast Iowa Conference of Speech and Debate assigned me that topic. Random on the internet, Rando on the internet 11 says, how strict is Wells Fargo with that one card every 6 months? I don't know. I've never really pushed the limit. I think Luke from Luke's Points of Miles, are you on here, Luke? Speak up if you are. Said that's a myth. He was able to get like an autograph, wait like 6 weeks, and then get an attune or something like that. Filmo says, Filmo recommends the Filmo method. 5 cards in 20 days. Do it. Just kidding. Please don't do it. My head hurts. Again, your mileage may vary. I think I even probably went a little more aggressively than my own every other month rule there recently. Thank you. That was a good question, though. That could be a whole topic even. All right, back to the main event here. Let's see. What's my next leftover? Okay, so I looked in a Tupperware container. Now I've got an old Country Crock shed spread. Opening that up. Oh, it's Wyndham Rewards. So in the top right corner, a picture of Geshi Nui over in Wales. That's the cottage that I stayed in. I have 57,000 Wyndham Rewards right now. And then I have 40,500 TBRs. What does TBR mean? Well, it means to be returned. So my wife and I are planning a stay at a Vacasa vacation rental in January. And I actually booked 2 of them, one for the second to last week of January, one for the last week of January. We're not going to do both. So I need to cancel one. So of those 40,500 should be returned to me. I actually have to make the decision like within the next 4 days to meet that 30-day return window. So I'm going to cancel one of them coming back to us. I should get that back. Out of those together, you've got 97,500 Wyndham Rewards, and that totals out to 97,500. Repetitive information is repetitive. I value Wyndham Rewards at 1.25 cents per point, and that comes to $1,219. Now, why 1.25 cents per point? Well, anytime I've used Vacasa, which is twice, anytime I've used cottages.com in the United Kingdom, which is twice, I've gotten at least 1.25 cents per point. In fact, the one on the screen right now is more like 1.57, 1.6 cents per point, something like that. And bear in mind, you're earning at a rate of 8 miles per dollar, points per dollar, if you use the Wyndham Earner business card on gas. So take 1.25 times 1.25. That's the equivalent of a 10% return on spend. If you don't know what I'm talking about, so until recently, Wyndham had a partnership with Vacasa, which is a competitor to Vrbo or Airbnb. You rent vacation rentals. You could use your Wyndham points to book those. That partnership ended on November 30th, and the last day you can actually use them if you already made a booking is January 31st. So that's why my wife and I have one in January, because it's the last chance. I think Fleet Easily going to Hawaii. A couple other people said they've got their Swan Song Vacasa stays. If you're on board and you have one, put in the comments what your Swan Song Vacasa stay is. So that's why I valued at 1.25 cents per point. Will I get that moving forward? Well, they still have the partnership with Cottages as of now. Hopefully that continues. If not, I guess I'll be looking for some good value on regular old Wyndhams. At 15,000 points a shot, that's a few. Next leftover is Hilton Honors. Hilton, yes, Hilton's. This is almost not a leftover because, like, I have intentionally moved points to Hilton in the past, but with all the recent devaluations, I think I'm going to be taking maybe a half step back from Hilton. I had said Hilton's my primary program, and it was, but it might be more like Hilton is 1A, Hyatt is 1B. It's almost like a tie now. But I have 306,000 Hilton points. Those have come from different things, from, you know, points earned on stays, although I usually pay with points. So like if I get a burrito in the pantry or something like that, or a Dr. Pepper at midnight, it adds up to that. Some old leftover sign-up bonuses from Hilton cards. Most of the points actually come from my parents, so I don't want to get into a long explanation, but many of you know my parents are in assisted living or senior care because they're in poor health. And based on Medicaid rules, as they run out of money, my lawyer told me you absolutely cannot use a credit card that has a cash back option, or the government could confiscate that. It needs to be something that is points only. Hilton is one of the easiest programs to transfer between people. So for the time being, we went with Hilton to make some of those assisted living type payments. So unfortunately, it's only earning 3x, but I got a whole lot of dollars earning 3x on Hilton that my mom and dad have, and they're sharing with me. They're sharing with my sister, so on and so forth, to get some Hilton points. So that's what this is, player 1 and 2 put together. It's what we have right now. There's more to come. I'll value that at half a cent per point. I used to say like I value my Hilton points around 7/10 of a point. It's getting harder and harder to get 7/10, but I think I can still average at least half. That comes to 1,530 Hilton points. Comments. LN says, I recently redeemed a few thousand Hilton points toward an Amazon purchase. Not at all good redemption rate, but better than letting them expire. Hilton points expire? I didn't know that. What is the expiration policy? I do agree using points for bad value, like that whole Mesa discussion we're having, is much better than letting them expire. Mike says, at what point does hoarding points become negative value, and how do you quantify that? I blame RM for this question. Rewards Master, I assume. Let's save that discussion for the end, because that's actually one of the things I want to discuss at the end. Edgar says, Wells Fargo strict only if you're over 524. Okay, that's good to know. I knew what you meant. Imagine Wrong says, I recently signed up for Acme's For You annual membership for $49. They have... What in the world just happened to me there? I am so sorry, folks. And I'm so sorry, Imagine Wrong. Oops. Let's just pretend that never happened. Imagine Wrong says, I recently signed up for Acme's For You annual membership for $49. They have a travel portal powered by Expedia that has some really good deals, and my Acme points are easily worth 1.5 cents per point on groceries. I have no idea what Acme even is in this context. What I know of Acme is it's the company that the Roadrunner uses when the Coyote uses when he's trying to catch the Roadrunner. So I'm going to do a screenshot of this comment and maybe I'll research it a little. Thank you. Appreciate that. Ayama Kareem says, what benefits are you able to use for the end of the year for Chase Sapphire Reserve if you got it this month? I'll tell you the ones that I know of. You could use your edit credit, although you have to book an edit, and that's kind of expensive sometimes. You could use your StubHub credit to get something with StubHub. Actually, that's one of the things I need to do. So this is also going to earn a screenshot. Thank you. Are there others I'm not thinking of? You get your monthly DoorDash credits. You could use those. Help me out here, people. Hey, we got 93 people on board. Keep on clicking thumbs up. I appreciate it. Dennis has 36,000 Hilton points, 360,000 Hilton points, still saving, accumulating. I like Hilton points. They're not a bad leftover. I mean, some leftovers taste good. I ate a turkey sandwich 3 or 4 days after Thanksgiving that was, hit the spot. LN's Hilton balance is now 1 point. Hey, that's awesome. Way to get that down to 0. That is maximization. And QC Man drops 1 Dugroz Reports membership. Celebrate. Thank you, QC Man. I really appreciate that. Just as good as a super chat. James Wynn has 1 point left over. Awesome. And Ian says, I can get 129,000 per year with Hilton with my dad spent at his home. Not a bad idea. If they take credit cards without a fee that makes it problematic, that's awesome. My mom's assisted living facility, every single month when I fill out the form, it says right on there, we charge a 2.5% credit card fee, and they never actually charge it, which I appreciate. I did go to a restaurant yesterday late at night, had a burrito and some refried beans, got a little bit of a tummy ache. Actually, you know what I need? Tums. And on the cash register, there's a sign that said we charge a 3% convenience fee. And I was like, but I was hungry and I was there. So I dealt with it. So Tasty Tacos, if you're listening, get your act together. I'm going to take my Tums. I asked what Hilton's expiration policy is, and LN says, I think it's 12 months with no activity. That shouldn't be a problem. I just need to transfer 1,000 points in from player 2 or player 1 or send them back and forth. Although I do need to pay attention because my wife doesn't really earn them, and she's got a smattering of points. I don't want them to expire. Ian says, Acme is a grocery store. Can you really trust that good value on Expedia, though? You just have to do your comparison shopping. The Coyote was a points and miles guy? Absolutely. Rando knows that Acme is a grocery store. Ian says, Doug, the splurge credit on your new CSE you'll need to use at Best Buy ASAP. Yes, I've had a few people tell me that you can't activate the splurge credit until you've had the card for about a week. So once that small package comes in the mail, do I have a box? I don't have one handy. Once that comes in the mail, I will activate it and try to use it immediately. And yes, I'm planning on going to Best Buy and picking up $200 worth of, I don't know, maybe Casey's gift cards. Philmo says, as a hoarder, I'm scared to look at my leftovers. LN says, correction, it's 24 months for Hilton's expiration with no activity. That's good. Rex says, did anyone else just feel that Doug quake when I had a little intestinal discomfort from that late night burrito? The burrito was mid at best. I'd say slightly below mid. But the refried beans were great. Dennis confirms that Hilton points expire after 24 consecutive months of inactivity, meaning no earning, no redeeming. To prevent this, you just need to report any earning or spending action. That's fine. I should be good then. I do keeping my low use cards active every 6 months. So in shortly after New Year's, I will buy a gallon of gas with my Hilton Surpass and should be fine. David Williams says, I have so many points hoarded, I'm only doing cash back now. I can't travel now because I have too many stray cats to feed. LOL. Well, when you look like that, Mike says, I don't have any points left over. All my points are fresh meals for the consuming. Awesome. The CSA box is very nice. What's that from? Oh, yeah, Monty Python and the Holy Grail. We don't need a grail. We've already got one. You've already got one. Yes, it's very nice. Back to the main event here. Next up is IHG rewards. What's I got? I've got 7,239 points. That's not all that many. And then those are valued at a half-cent per point. Now, again, you could argue 7/10, 8/10. You can get better use, but since you can buy in a half-cent per point, that seems reasonable to me. By the way, I thought I screenshotted this, but I didn't. There was some recent news, hat tip Matt Clausen. IHG is making it harder to transfer points between player 1 and player 2. It used to be you could just sign up for like a business account, no questions asked, and do that. I'm sad to report it's not that easy anymore. I don't remember what the criterion is, but you have to meet some sort of criterion starting next year, which is a huge bummer. I can say I'm happy that my wife did sign up for the account, moved all of her IHG points over to me, so I don't have to worry about that. $36 on that. I also have one free night certificate, and the reason why I have a free night certificate is earlier this year, I don't remember exactly when, I canceled my IHG business card. I'm kind of taking a step back, kind of getting out of IHG. But I canceled it after the free night cert posted to my account. So I have until April or May to use that. That's one of those 40,000 point free night certificates. And if you do the math, it's pretty easy. 40,000, move the decimal 2 points. That's 400. Cut that in half because it's half cent each. That's $200 in value. And yes, you can top it up, but I wouldn't really want to use more to top it up than that 7,239. So I might use it for less than the $200 in value. Therefore, I gave it a $25 or 1/8 haircut. And I'm declaring that free night cert to be worth $175. Add those together, that totals $211. Turning up the thermostat. It's cold in here. Next up is Choice Privileges, the hotel chain. I have 54,000 Choice Privileges points. What was I thinking? I bought Choice Privileges points when they were on sale for like 0.68 cents per point or something like that. Why? Why did I do that? I've got all these leftovers. It's like going to Hy-Vee and buying, a gallon of ground beef like a week before it expires. And it's like, well, I'll put it in the freezer. It'll be fine. And you go put it in the freezer and you're like, oh, I already have 20 gallons of ground beef. 54,000 points. 1.25 cents per point comes to $675. Should I have used 1.25? I'm not sure. I did a video, it's been probably close to 2 years now, where I really carefully investigated the idealized moderate cherry picking choice privileges value. And I found like a property in Mululaba, Australia. I found one in Venice, Italy, a couple in the United States, one near Rolla, Missouri. 1.25 cents per point was my average on the somewhat cherry picked. It was cherry picked in the sense of like places I actually wanted to go, but within the 20 choices you could stay from, I picked the ones on some Venn diagram of what I would actually want plus good value. I think it's reasonable. Might be a stretch. We'll see. That's what I'm declaring. Well, let's go back and stop there. Choice privilege is 675 and take a little break here. Catch up on some comments. Let's see. Edgar says, do you think the CSE is worth its annual fee if you don't really fly AA? In the first year it is. I mean, even if you cash it out, and I realize you can't cash out with that card, but if you also have a custom cash or a double cash, you can cash out for a penny per point. 100,000 points, $600 annual fee, you're still coming out $400 positive, even if you don't use the credits, and they're actually pretty easy to use. We talked about the splurge credit, but there's also the hotel credit. Stay 2 nights or more, you get $300 coupon. I think it's $300. So yeah, I do think it's worth it in the first year. Now the second year, no, not worth it. Just downgrade that to a City Strata Premier. Sendo, thanks for the question, Edgar. Sendo X is here. Good morning. Dennis has 150,000 IHG points. I want to score some 26X with Holiday Inn stays. All right, man. If it works for you, that's great. When I say I'm getting out of Holiday Inns, or getting out of IHG rather, I have nothing against Holiday Inns, Holiday Inn Expresses. I've stayed at lots of them. I actually find them to be a really good chain. Holiday Inn Express has good breakfast. They're generally clean. It's just that, kind of as we're finding out, I have a lot of points in a lot of places. So like, have you ever heard the expression, I can't afford to save that much money? You know, it's like your wife coming to you say, hey, I'm going to get a new purse. This is normally $2,000, but it's only $1,000. That's still $1,000. So if I have 100,000 points over here I'm not using, that cost me something, whether buying or opportunity cost. So you kind of got to pick the programs that suit you, unless you're like frequent miler and you travel for points and miles for your job. But if you're a normal average Midwest dad like me in your 40s who travels 3 to 7 times a year, it can get overwhelming. Cesar says, one question, buying at a discount affects the points value? Buying points? I tend to value my points based on redemptions. You know, that is a philosophical. Welcome to another episode of Frugal Points. Generally, I would say there's not a wrong way to do it. And you could argue I should use the redemption value. In fact, I'm hypocritical because I use the buy-in value on IHG and Hilton, and I use the redemption value on Choice. So if you are making a decision whether you buy points or do a cash stay, then you definitely need to use the buy-in value. If you're trying to figure out how much your points are worth, you should probably use the redemption value. Honestly, even with redemption value, I'd probably leave Hilton at a 0.5 cent per point. It's gone down quite a bit. But IHG, I probably should have bumped up to 0.7. Mike says, so if travel insurance is included with my airline status, does that make the higher multiplier card always correct? If travel insurance is included with my airline status, I never knew there was such a thing. If it's genuine good travel insurance that includes all the things you want, yes. But as a guy who has worked in the insurance industry in the past, I would be very skeptical of that. I would read the fine print. If you want to hit me up offline and discuss that with more detail that's a little more personal in nature, happy to do so, Mike. Ian says, I just logged into a credit limit increase on Player 2's Hyatt card. What a nice surprise. Twice the limit. Yeah, but what are you going to use the double limit on the Hyatt card for? It's not really a shenanigans card. The Rewards Master is here. Hello, Dugroz. Good to be here. Good to have you, Rewards Master. Thanks for logging in. D Green says, not including the big 4 hotels, I've got leftover points in 2 programs. 208 a la core points, and 8.6 Virgin points. Virgin points don't expire, but I'm likely going to lose my $5 in a core. Oh no. That's actually not bad at all. That's hyper efficient. And you know what? I just realized, D Green, I forgot to include Virgin. I have some Virgin points. I don't know how many it is. I think I used most of them up. Let me see if I have the app here. Nope, I deleted it because I'm like, when am I going to be using that in the near future? I probably have a couple thousand Virgin points. Rex says, I have 9,500 Atmos points. That's used to be Alaska points that might have been TWA points that were probably originally Brant Air points. You've been traveling for a little while then, Rex. That's awesome. I didn't know Brant merged into TWA. I did know TWA merged with Alaska. That part I didn't remember. Let's see. There was an airline that was like navy blue with yellow. It's kind of like the Michigan University colors that start with an A. It was 3 letters, ATA, ACA. And they had a jingle that was like this. You gotta go easy, go ATA. Can anybody verify this? You gotta go easy, go ATA. And they were either based out of Chicago or had a hub in Chicago, because I know Des Moines, you flew to Chicago on there. One time when I was like 23, 24, working for the college, I was doing like a convention or something. And I often helped with setup of like the sound system and that kind of stuff and logistics. And me and the vice president of the college flew on ATA Airlines to Chicago. And there were like 8 passengers on the whole flight in like a 737. So no wonder they went out of business. I remember the pilot, who was probably like 24, made a joke about the stewardess who was like 20. It's like, we only have one flight attendant today because we only have 8 people on board. Your flight attendant is Julie. And fun fact, she just got engaged this weekend. Let's give her a big round of applause. We all clapped for her. And she was like, that's not true. He's just saying stuff. There was a random story triggered by Rex. Cesar says, yep, I saw that choice valuation versus the others. Yeah, I don't know what I was thinking. Chad Pennycuff says, status travel insurance is stuff like same-day changes at no fee. Probably doesn't have emergency evaluation, medical, dental, I'm guessing. QC wants to have been to Admirals Clubs before. To the best of my knowledge, no, I have not. The only exception might have been... no, never mind. I was going to say when we flew British Airlines, but the only time I've ever actually flown British is from London. So that was whatever the British equivalent is, maybe a lieutenant. LN says, for transferable currencies, I would argue that points are only worth what it would cost to buy points directly from the program you are transferring to. Yes, so if you're debating, should I transfer in from Amex to Hilton, I think you need to use the half cent per point. So you can think of it as like 1 cent per point on your Amex points. If there's not a transfer bonus, if there's a 30%, then you can think of it as 1.6. Am I mathing there? Mike is applauding Rewards Master for his live last night. I actually had it in my notifications, but I was at a Christmas concert for my kids, so I didn't want to be like that. People saying hi to each other. And Ian says, when the gold Delta inverts, I buy it with the Hyatt card. Happens once or twice a month. Oh, okay. I don't know what that means, but sounds like you have a strat. Fleet's here. How you doing, Fleet? Good morning, y'all. I actually used your data point early in the show, so thank you for contributing. Ellen says, I suppose the redemption in that case is the transfer, not the final use of points. Yeah. TWA/Brant, I made that up. Oh, okay. That explains why I'd never heard of it before. I mean, I've heard of TWA. That was an actual airline. I may have flown them when I was a kid. New Again says, yeah, I never saw the IHG appeal. Fourth night free is not really free. It's up to a 25% discount. They make nightly point rates more expensive when you use the card. Well, that's not cool. I will say fourth night free is a lot better than fifth night free. The difference between 4 nights and 5 nights is the difference between a Friday to a Tuesday and a Friday to a Wednesday. And if you're going Friday to Wednesday, why even work that week at all? Thanking Mike. He is very thankable. Fleet says, I got approved for an AA mile-up card after reconsideration, but when I used it to book AA, I got free checked bags, even though this isn't a listed perk. Anyone hear of this before? Can you save that question for the rando question part, just remember to repost it. Nuracan says AA took over TWA, then America West took over US Air, then US Air took over AA. But kept the name American Airlines? Is that how it worked? Wasn't US Air headquarters in Philadelphia? I saw a video recently about how when they went out of business, it completely screwed up Philadelphia's hub because it went from like 70% connecting flights to only like 20% connecting flights. Where were we? Oh, there's 100 people on board. Celebrate, celebrate. Let's see if we can get that over 106. If you see a 106 or more, be sure to let me know. All right, back to the leftovers here. So I already did choice. Next up is Airbnb. There was a time when I bought some Airbnb gift cards. It was over $1,000. This was back during the COVID pandemic, the tail end. You could use your CSR, CSP to buy Airbnb and pay yourself back at 1.25 or 1.5. And I did that and had like $1,000 in Airbnb gift cards. And then I was taking a trip to Albany, New York, Matt Clausen Stomping Grounds, this past April. And I booked an Airbnb where I thought I would need a few more. So I bought like an extra $25 or $50 and then downgraded to a cheaper one. So now I've got $135 in Airbnb credit left over. To the best of my knowledge, credit within Airbnb does not expire. One thing I like about Airbnb is it's kind of like Amazon. You get the gift card, you just load it into your account right away. Same as like Disney. It's not like the old hotels.com where you have to save the gift card. Does this expire? I don't think it ever expires because that would be almost like a violation of gift cards expiring, which the federal government doesn't let you do anymore. But if somebody knows with certainty, let me know. At least this one's easy to use in terms of when you book an Airbnb, but I have to book an Airbnb and I have to book an IHG and I have to book a Hilton and I have to book a Wyndham. You kind of see where this is going. How about Expedia/hotels.com? I suppose you could include Vrbo too, but no, we don't talk about Vrbo. No, we don't talk about Vrbo. This is called One Key Cash. That's what they call their rewards program. And as Nicola asked earlier, this originated when my wife got a One Key card for the most part. I probably earned a couple bucks on the one stay I've done recently. I have $623 in credit left over from Expedia/hotels that I can use. Again, another one to add to the list of things I need to use. As far as I know, this one doesn't expire either. How about Built? Now, I know some people might count Built as anything but a leftover. You've got a strategy around it. And I say that's great. And I agree that if you're big on Built, you should do that. Built is like way on the back burner for me. It's not that it's a bad program. It's just like I don't have the Built card. I don't rent. When it was with Wells Fargo, it was okay. Now I've got a lot of skepticism, so I'm not going to be jumping on today. I do have the Built app, though, and I've used it with the stuff you use it for, Built offers and, linking it to my Walgreens account and that kind of stuff. And all that put together has yielded me 1,922 points, which is frustrating because if you're just the lowest level member, you can't even transfer it to other partners, so you hit 2,000. So I will get there someday. Let's say I value that at 2 cents per point, probably gonna use it on Hyatt or something like that. That's $38. So $38 is $38. This one's not a hard one to have as leftovers because I can add it to another rewards program that I already have stuff in. So it's like you've got your Tupperware container, you're gonna scrape it into your crock pot, or you're gonna scrape the crock pot into the country crock container or your Cool Whip container. Let's open the next container, which is in fact generic Cool Whip from Hy-Vee, Lots O Value brand. And this is Southwest Rapid Rewards. What do I have with Southwest? Well, I think I transferred in more points than I needed once by accident, or I thought I was going to make a trip. I have used Southwest as a backup flight option multiple times. So it makes sense to have a smattering here and there. But right now I have 6,444. I've actually also flown them. I've flown cash rates a few times. Sorry about that. It was a pretty good death rattle. Whew, my bad. I don't have a business platinum card or a regular Amex Platinum right now, but I've used the airline incidental credit on Southwest a few times, so that's why I have some points left over. Frequent Miler tells me I should value those at 1.3 cents per point, and that sounds about right, so that's what I'm going to roll with. $84 in the generic Cool Whip container that is Southwest Rapid Rewards. Okay. Nurican says it's all under America West management. Interesting. QC Man confirms the AA name was considered more prominent even though they were taken over by US Air. I didn't know that. Okay. Rex says Braniff was an airline. I just tell a tale every now and then. It was like, what was that one with the yellow plane where I found a picture of like my parents or grandparents flying it back in the very early 80s? It was named after the guy who flew across the Atlantic in the spirit of St. Louis. Hughes, Howard Hughes. No, that was Lindbergh. Hughes was the guy who built the Spruce Goose. It was named after Hughes. I think it was Hughes West Airline. We could make up some stories and incorporate them as well. There's so many defunct airlines. We should just do a defunct airline live chat sometimes. QCMS says if Spirit ever buys Delta, they'll do the same thing. If that happens, I will eat a moderately spicy burrito on air if Spirit buys Delta. Check Raise You, also known as Flaming Monkey, says hello. TWA assets and routes were acquired after Chapter 11 in 2011 by AA. QC Man says hi. And Fleet says, I've had positive experience by One Key so far. I use it for unaffiliated hotels. Yeah, I think for some people it's a great use case. For me, not so much because, again, I've got too many other strats. Edgar thinks Southwest is so gross it makes him puke. I prefer leftovers. I actually don't have any leftover points with I prefer, or if it is, it's less than 1,000 points. Jesus Chris, notice you're big on jingles. I was just saying that last night to my wife. She was, we were talking about a kids program at a school, not the one my kids go to. I won't say the name of it, where they sang a song that wasn't very good called something like Follow the Drinking Gourd, which is some folk song from some country. And, they didn't do a great job. We were kind of imitating it. She's like, well, let me find the actual song and play it for you, the real one. And I'm like, no, don't. And she's like, well, why not? I was like, I don't want to get stuck in my head. It's like, oh, come on. If I play it once, I'm like, you don't understand, honey. I've had macaroni jingles from when I was 8 stuck in my head for almost 40 years. It's kind of a blessing and a curse. I hear jingles or catchy little songs once. They are in there. They're lodged. So yeah, I'm big on jingles. Don Kim says, Howard Hughes played by Leo DiCaprio. I don't know. Was that some movie? Anthony says, Howard Hughes TWA. Yeah, crazy YOLO investor. I stayed at the TWA Hotel in JFK a few months ago. Very cool experience. Did Hughes West Airline merge with TWA, or did Hughes also own part of TWA or found it? I don't know. What does TWA stands for? Trans World Airline. Calderd says, same thing with United. It was bought by Continental, but they liked the United name better. Current United livery is very similar to Continental. Oh, that's why it looks so similar. I always wondered. LN says, I had so many leftovers from restaurant ward programs that I probably can't keep track of them all. At least they're not actual leftovers. Fleet says, Thanksgiving leftovers, the value lane for the 3 days afterwards. Open-faced turkey sandwich for the win. Absolutely. Open, closed, as long as it's got plenty of gravy. That's the key. So that was Southwest. I'm getting close to the end here. I have a handful of other programs. American, United, Delta, British, World of Hyatt. I should have included Virgin in there, but I didn't. That all have very small amounts, like nothing even meaningful. You know, like United, I know I've flown them like once in the last 5 years, and I think I have 800 points. Delta, 3 or 4 times. I probably have 1,000 points. So it's not even enough to really make its own thing. So what I'm going to say is I have a smattering of points in other programs, and I'm going to value those around $100 for the sake of what we're doing here. Let's just call it $100. All right, so now it's time to talk about total. What are the totals? Well, let's review. KLM and Air France, $3,600. Wyndham, $1,200. Hilton, $1,500. IHG, $200. Choice, almost $700. Airbnb, $135. One Key, $620 some dollars. Built, $38. Southwest, $84. Miscellaneous, $100. So if we put that all together, we go to the fridge. Whether or not you have 6 fingers or 5, it doesn't matter. We're going to break out those leftovers. We're going to put them all together and make an epic sandwich. And that brings us to $8,237 in leftovers. That's awesome and ridiculous at the same time. Like, if I just went to people and said, hey, I've got $8,237 in travel coupons and credits that I haven't used yet. And they're like, oh, wow, man, how much traveling do you do? But not that much, like 3 to 7 times a year. They'd be like, what? Yeah, and that's not even like my main stuff, my hotel proprietary points or the programs that I like, transfer out of a lot. That's on top of that. They would probably be like, you're either a secret drug dealer or you're doing something illegal, one of the two. I guess a secret drug dealer would be kind of illegal. So now's a good time to transition out of how many I have and what some of the considerations are with all of this. Let's talk about them. I don't have cool graphics. I just have bullet points. Free night certificates. So I've got one free night certificate with IHG. I'm going to have one with Hilton pretty soon. It's actually in my dad's name. How does all this come into play? You've heard me say before, I don't really like free night certificates. And it's because it's one more thing to tie me down. I think free night certificates are great in a couple situations. One is if you have a majorly preferred program and you are 75% using that rewards program. Like Uncle Luke used to go to the Fort Lauderdale Conrad, which is a Hilton property, all the time. And he said, one time I used 5 free night certs in a row or 4 in a row or something like that. In that case, it makes sense. But when you're more like me and I'm flying to Mobile, Alabama, or Charlottesville, Virginia, or the UP of Michigan, didn't fly, drove, you're probably using a little hotel here, a little hotel there. So free night certificates are like, well, I could use this, but I've also got 50,000 Wyndham points I still haven't used, and those are going to expire. So when you have leftovers, it makes free night certificates less appealing. We could talk about being spread too thin as well. Big cents per point does not equal efficiency. So like, let's say I have a deal where I can get tons of cents per point on Virgin, or I can use a modicum of cents per point on American, but they're both going to earn me points. I'm way more likely to use American than I am, what's the other one I said? Virgin. So even if the value's not quite as good, it might be better to use American because then I don't have all these Virgin Atlantic points just sitting there left over. Let me catch some comments here before I go too much further. I think there are a few. Already got that one. Already got that one. Already got that one. Don Kim is here and says, it's almost 2026 and still no Bojangles in Los Angeles. I'm assuming that's a restaurant, but Tony says, I'm so sorry to hear, Don. Ziza says, I'm interested in hearing the macaroni jingle. I guess I can't think of that one. I was thinking of Hamburger Helper. It's something like this. Creamy pasta, look at what we got. 2 new flavors really hit the spot. And then the announcer's like, Hamburger Helper introduces Zesty Italian and something else. And then the little hand comes back on. You're gonna really like it and your family will like it a lot. Hamburger Helper makes a great Italian meal. Oh. Edgar Crespo says, at what point does a devaluation make your leftovers useless? Well, if it's Mesa, it's really useless. It's rare for them to be useless because of a devaluation unless you already had a small amount of points. For example, 876 Hyatt points is useless because you can only redeem increments of 1,000. So there is a point. So you want to avoid, like, sometimes it can even be tempting. Like, let's say you're not into Wyndham at all, but there's an offer for like 50 points per dollar at Wyndham. Like, yes, I need to stay at just a budget hotel the night before I fly out. There is a Days Inn by Wyndham that gets good reviews right next door. I'm going to get all these points. And then you find out, like, yeah, but it was a $37 hotel. So you're only getting, let's say it's 10x, 370 Wyndham points. You're like, oh, as a percentage, it was good, but what am I going to do with 370 Wyndham points? That's what I'm saying. There's something to be said for being spread too thin. What is wrong with my glasses? There we go. Hope it wasn't that way very long. Dong says, maybe I'll try to make it to the 2026 meetup and stop by there. LOL. Well, I'll have to find out what what'd you call it? What was the name of the restaurant? The name of the restaurant was Bojangles. I'll figure that out someday. Rex says Eastern Airlines had one floor. You can only fly one way. What? Oh, one flaw. Oh, they didn't issue round trip tickets. Interesting. What you gonna do when they come for you? Bad boys, bad boys. Yep, the cops theme's another one that gets stuck in your head super easily. You're right, Dennis. I didn't even watch it very much. I would, like, if it came on after programs of watching, I'd just watch the theme song. They're working on their Bojangles. QCMN remembers that hamburger helper jingle. Luke says, I received a membership. Thank you very much. Awesome. Congrats to whoever did that. PDX Beach is here. Hey, bros. Happy Saturday. Right back at you, bro. And New Again says, Spiegel again is why I say most people, many even in this community, should just be cashback focused. Collect occasional big travel cards for mega aspirational travel. I'm leaning more and more that way. Now, I'm about to make a video, or at least I thought about it, making a video where lots of people say cashback is the way to go from now on, and I'm going to refute that. But I am a hybrid person. I think probably narrowing down your partners to just a couple is where I'm at. PDX is just recovering from the Mesa nerf. I was able to get in and transfer my 125k Mesa points to a core. Woo! Okay, thank goodness. How recently did you do that? Was that today, like after midnight, or was that before midnight last night? Was it before or after midnight in New York City, as City would want us to ask? Tio says the first international flight in 1985, or Tio's first international flight was in 1985, Continental to Costa Rica and the old airport. Is old the 3-letter code, or is it just an old airport, like age-wise? We've still got 93 people on board, which is really good. Let me go ahead and finish up the theme of the day here. We're getting closer and closer as time goes by. Next consideration is portals. So we're talking about Rakuten. We're talking about Chase. We're talking about the British Airlines portal. We're talking about the Southwest portal. Early on in my journey, I made this mistake. I think we all make something like this. So in 2019, I flew on Southwest Airlines to St. Louis. There's a nonstop flight early in the morning from Des Moines to St. Louis. So if you're going to St. Louis to do something, it's fun. It's nice to get there at like 7:30 a.m. because then you got the whole day to travel and explore. And then I did it again maybe a year or two later. I took that one-way flight, and I'm like, wow, Southwest is great. It fits me perfectly. And then I never did it again. I might have had a layover there. I don't remember. No, I did it one other time. I went to Springfield, Illinois. But like in my mind, I was going to be taking this trip like 2 or 3 times a year. So when I was buying something online, maybe some Legos, I don't know, I went out to like Cashback Monitor or Every Rewards and looked up Lego to see what a good portal was. And Southwest was fairly high. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to use this. So I went in and did it, earned like 800 Southwest points. And now years later, I'm like, that was dumb. I should have just taken 2x cash back on Rakuten or 2x on Chase or whatever. I did the same thing with British Airlines once. I used British to book American. I'm like, oh, that's great value. So when I saw like 8x in a portal on British, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to use the British portal. Shouldn't have done that because now I'm just spreading myself more thin. I've got a few with Southwest, a few with British, a few with Virgin, a few with Delta. Don't do that. So like early in the program, I mentioned like when I bought the Legos, I used the Chase Ultimate Rewards portal. Ultimate rewards are great, and they're fungible because I can use it for Hyatt, I can cash it out, I can use it in the Chase portal, I can use it for British eventually, but I'm not locked into a proprietary currency. So right now, if you said 6x British or 2x Ultimate Rewards, I would take the 2x Ultimate Rewards. Similarly, I know like I can use Rove or Built. I can use Built and link it to, no wait, I can use Rakuten and link it to Built. Like I said, I'm struggling to get 2,000 points with Built, so I'm probably not going to use Rakuten and link it to Built in my case. For some people, that's amazing. For me, probably not. At least think it over. And then the next thing I would say is expiration dates. So like we talked about, some points expire. Let's go back and talk about, well, let's not go back, but let's just hit a few examples. Wyndham points expire. There's two different kinds of expirations. 18 months if you don't have any activity. Well, that's easy. And a 4-year hard expiration. As I slowly get out of using Wyndham, I won't entirely, but at least less and less. Am I going to have a risk where I don't go to the United Kingdom and stay in a cottage? I'm going to have them expire. So that's why I'm saying just pick like 2 or 3 programs that work really well for you and stick with those. Easier said than done, because like we're all going to have a failed Denmark expedition sometime in our life. You can quote me on that. Put on one of those motivational posters. We're all going to have a failed Denmark expedition at some point in our life. Dugroz reports, December 2025. And the other hard thing is when you're new to the game, how do you know what your partners are? I think I asked, I know Lonnie from Call Me Lonnie, who's often on Stack Your Points, one time said, pick your partners. That's like the first thing you should do. My question is, how do you pick your partners when you're a newbie and you don't know what your partners are going to be? I thought I would be a huge Southwest guy for about 6 months. Psych. Turns out I'm not. Who would have seen me as a huge Aeroplan guy or huge Wyndham guy back then? But it happened. PDX transferred at 11 p.m. Pacific last night for Mesa. Yeah, but that's like after midnight. Yeah, midnight Eastern would be 11 o'clock Central, 10 o'clock Mountain, 9 o'clock Pacific. So yeah, that's well after midnight. New again in New York City. New again says, and yes, you can still be a free agent and resort to 1 to 2 brands in each travel category, capitalize on travel spend. That's what I'm saying. We're on the same page. Rex Blind says, Eastern Airlines. No, dude, they flew only in Eastern direction. Lame dad humor. Sorry, I'll get my hat. That was really lame, but I like it. Thank you. I'm sorry I didn't pick up on it the first time. I'm going to go over there and get a pillow so I can kneel. My knees are starting to hurt, or my back's starting to hurt. Don't leave. I'm still here. I promise. Please take the Dugroz pledge with me. I pledge allegiance to Dugroz reports and to the live stream that for which he stands. Saturday mornings, 9:30 Central Time, undivided, and all of us watching forever. Okay, there we go. Sorry about that. Thanks for bearing with me. What is this every wards you speak of, Senor? Every wards. What am I talking about? Give me some more clues and I'll figure it out. I'm sorry, Edgar. Flaming Monkey says Built is amazing. Sally says my 11-year-old daughter's listening under duress and wonders if you embarrass your kids with the singing. I do. Yes, I do. But it's okay. They've kind of gotten used to it, and I'm honored to say, like, my kids go to a private like community school. Small class sizes. I think their 11th graders is only like 20 kids in the whole class. And they actually are good kids. They appreciate dad humor. Either that or they're humoring me and I don't realize they're all rolling their eyes behind their back. Gentleman Explorer says something rotten in Denmark. Absolutely. Thanks for triggering the algorithm there. Mike says 101. I'm not exactly sure what that's referencing. QC Man says for which he stands or sometimes kneeling on pillows. Hit the like button, right? Oh, I have 101 people on board. I see 105. We are really close to breaking a record. Yes, please do hit the like button. Why have only 55 people done that? How hard it is to push a button, people. I'd love to break that record today, but I will keep going regardless. Another consideration is avoid new programs, or at least like new to you programs. I think this is what I'm saying. So don't be like, let me think of an example. Like you notice that Japan Airlines is now on board with Capital One. You can transfer them. You've never taken a Japan Airlines flight in your life. You've never used Japan Airlines flights. You don't have a specific redemption in mind, but you're like, oh man, the JAL portal is offering 20 points per dollar on Snickers.com. I'm going to buy $300 worth of Snicker bars to get these points. And then you've got, 4,652 JAL points. And 8 years later, you're like, I still haven't used these, or they expire. So you probably lost them all. Again, bird in the hand, greater than two in the bush. Next consideration is the ability to transfer in is huge. It's very important. So like, I have all those leftover points at Southwest, but one redeeming factor is I can add on to that. So I can transfer from Chase to Southwest and top that up. Now, since Southwest points will never be worth more than about 1 to 3 to 1.5 cents per point, that may not be a great example. Even my British Airlines are somewhat redeemable because I can transfer in from a variety of places. Everybody transfers to British. So that makes it better. So I would say if you're going to have a proprietary airline or hotel, make sure it's something you can transfer into and it suits you. For example, like let's say Choice Hotels, which transfers 1 to 2 from Citi and Wells Fargo, would make sense if you're using like the Choice portal or you go out and buy Choice points because you can top those off and use it for something decent. If you only use Chase, which doesn't transfer to Choice, then that wouldn't make any sense. So make sure you pick if you're going to be, I'm not sure why I'm using this motion. If you're going to be picking a hotel or airline partner that you want to invest in heavily, use their portal on, buy points, it's probably best for something you can transfer in at with reasonable value. That's one of the reasons why IHG is not that appealing to me, is they transfer 1 to 1 from Chase. I know I could cash out my Chase points and buy in, and it ends up because you buy in at half pay per point, the equivalent of getting 1 penny per point on your Chase, but that's not that appealing. There's no way to get outsized value. Hilton's not amazing, but at least Hilton transfers 1 to 2 to start with. So if you get a 30% transfer bonus, that's like transferring 1 to 2.6. I think my math is right there. Is that right? 5 to 1, 0.3. Yeah, math checks out. So yeah, that's the equivalent of cashing out your Amex points for 1.3. Amazing? No. Better than 1? Yeah, better than 1. So take that into consideration as part of the whole. And then next consideration is adding Citi adding a transferability to American Airlines is huge. Whereas before I would never try to on purpose have leftover American Airlines points. Now I can lean into it. I've said before I'm a free agent. However, American is probably the airline I fly the most. Let me rephrase it. It's definitely the airline I fly the most. So not that I want to become an American Airlines loyalist. It's just because of where I live. You have direct connections in Chicago. You have direct connections in Dallas. You have direct connections at New York LaGuardia, Reagan National. There's lots of options with American because I'm in a small regional airport. And that's all I have to say. That's the whole discussion on leftovers. I hope that was enjoyable for you. Thank you so much, everyone. I'll catch up on my comments, and then I can go into the community tab question. Sleepy Rod says, Andy from The Office and Dugroz would get along very well. Office singers. Mike says, maybe do a whole video on how to hit the like button. Absolutely. That's a great idea. John is here from John's Credit and Travel and says, running errands. I will watch tonight taster stream. Yes, we are tasting things. We're tasting leftovers. And drops a $1.99 super chat. Celebrate. Thank you so much, John. I appreciate your faithfulness. Nicola says, Virgin points are pretty good and redeemable. Depends on where you live. I'm not doing any international travel the next 2 years, probably, unless we go to like Jamaica or something on vacation, or the Bahamas. Probably no flights over to Europe in the near future. I know you can use Virgin for Delta, but there's a couple problems with that for me. I really like corn. One is because of where I live, the routes are very few and far between. Like, let's say I want to fly Delta from Des Moines to Detroit and go on from Detroit to Memphis or something on Delta. That route is almost never available when using Virgin. Now, Des Moines to Detroit might be, but the other one won't be. The second thing is it's only like some of the flights. So like if Delta has 3 flights a day from Des Moines to Atlanta, I can only use one of them, and it's the time I don't want. It's the one that's like really late at night, that kind of thing. After stream, not taster stream. That's all right. We just thought you were on topic. Hey, I'm caught up on comments now. Thank you so much. So it's time to transition to our community tab questions here. Nobody has dropped a tip jar tip. You'll find the URL in the description box of this very video. It's the first thing. That's a way you can either donate anonymously or just with lower fees. Don't get me wrong. I love the super chats. I love the super stickers too. They're great. Every Friday, generally between 5 and 9 p.m., I will drop a picture on my community tab. And you can do 2 things. You can ask me a question, and I'll get to it the next day, which is now. Or you can just guess where the picture was taken, and I might give out some Dugroz points for that. So let's transition into that right now. Here is the picture that I chose. It's a picture of yours truly. And in the background, you can see a red building with some windows. Looks kind of like a man-made dam there and some water flowing over it. I'm not wearing a jacket. There's still green grass over here, although these trees look like they've lost their leaves. So maybe those things give us clues. There's flowing water. Where might that be? So let's go ahead and take a look at the community tab and see what questions people asked yesterday, and or if anybody guessed the location. And we'll see what is going on with that. Mike Newland just did a couple of emojis, a fire emoji, eyeball emoji. I know a lot of you do that just to feed the algorithm. And Mike, I really appreciate it. I know Jimmy James does it a lot. Sometimes I might not respond with much, but I try to respond with every single comment. So like if you just see me respond to your comment with like a giraffe or a birthday cake or a pair of binoculars or a monster or a goat or a cheeseburger, it's just me acknowledging like, hey man, thanks for feeding the algorithm. I appreciate that. Let's see. Fleet easily gave the data point about CVS in-store promos, which I read earlier today. And he also said, so far, my max redemption was 15 Capital One points, 2.5% of Rakuten, and 3.5% on Atmos. Only had it to work on the Venture X offers, but I'm still testing on other Capital One cards. Awesome. Celebrate. Yeah, stack those points. Larso guessed that this is Falls Park in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Name checks out, but no, unfortunately, that's not it. Jay Hanalea guessed the Welcome to New Jersey sign or greeting. Nope, it is not New Jersey. Bob's Travel guesses at first the Akoshan Electric Dam. And I said, is that a real place? He said, nope, it isn't hydroelectric. I'd like to change my answer to the Conklingville Dam. Change acknowledged. Thanks for participating. Here's your participation trophy, but you did not win. It is neither the Ahsoka Dam from Star Wars, nor is it the Conklingville Dam. But this is a dam picture. You are correct about that. Now I'll go over the correct guesses. Herr Muntz says that picture was taken on William Rhodes Island Park. Nailed it. Celebrate. Good job, Herr Muntz. The name of the mill is the Rhodes Mill, and this is a mill right here in the state of Iowa. A couple other people gave more details. Luke D. Johnson said this is the Rhodes Mill in the town of Fertile, Iowa. The mill was built in 1868, and that is correct. So there's a little tiny town in northern Iowa, almost to the Minnesota border, not quite, called Fertile. And when I went to do my looking at foliage trip several weeks ago, that was before Puerto Rico. It was just a 2-day trip. I went to northern Iowa and southern Minnesota, and this was my very first viewing spot. It was pretty, but the leaves weren't cooperating. They'd either fallen off or hadn't changed yet. And if you want a little more viewing pleasure of what's going on here, here is a fuller screen of what's going on. Now you'll notice this looks like a video. It is. I have a second channel. It's called Dugroz Nostalgia. And I put a link to this video in the description of this live stream. So if you want to see stuff that I post about random things that aren't really points and miles, but I see because of points and miles, that's what you should subscribe to. It's mostly shorts, although I am putting a breakdown of my trip to England last year on there very soon. So if you want the travel part, let's face it, I'm not really a travel influencer. I'm not a sexy girl. I'm not a studly guy. So people aren't going to tune into my channel just to see videos of me laying on a beach or climbing the Eiffel Tower or anything like that. But if you're interested anyway, subscribe to Dugroz Nostalgia and you'll see the not so much points and miles as just the cool things I got to see part of life over on there. If you had been a subscriber, you would have already seen this video and known that. Are there any other questions on here? Let's see. Fleet easily asked this question. Mike fed the algorithm. Let's see. Fleet, you were going to ask a question. Could you repost that? It was something about American Airlines or something like that. I kind of forgot exactly what it was. Okay, let's take a quick look here. Dennis says, Christmas leftovers I can eat. Next year we can earn and burn. Absolutely. Sleepy Rod says, sorry I was late. Why not Rakuten as a portal if your goal is Hyatt? Use Rakuten, send it over to Built, and then send Built to Hyatt. I don't know. That's a good question. Let me give that a little more consideration. That earned a screenshot. Thank you, Sleepy Rod. Yep, that's what I'm thinking. Anthony said, I'll ask ChatGPT where that's at. And the answer chat gave was Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Nope. I don't know why being that specific and yet wrong is amusing to me, but it is. Fleet says, sounds like AI isn't perfect yet. That is funny, funny, funny. Sally wants to clarify that he thinks you're hilarious. Awesome. Celebrate, S. Beery's son. I appreciate that. QC Man says, I'm definitely not that. Yep, okay. But if that's your aspiration, we'll support. No. I'm totally cool being a bearded 40-something-year-old middle-aged dad whose beard is turning gray way faster than I thought. Please don't forget to answer my question about hoarding points. Okay. If I recall, Mike, I'm happy to answer that. I think your question was something like this, and correct me if I'm wrong. At what point does it become useless? Is that the question? At what point does hoarding points become useless? And I said, if you're below 1,000 points and need 1,000 points to redeem. But to be even more specific, there's a thought process out there that I'm trying to get out, and I'm not necessarily laying it down exactly what I want, of spreading yourself too thin. So the whole purpose of this video was that, yes, I have lots of points, and exciting that I have $8,500 in value, but that's hard to use for an average guy like me with a day job. I only get, 3 or 4 weeks a year that I can take time off work. I still need to master working from anywhere, but also with that in mind, how often am I away from my family? So like I have a job where I can work from home, so I could take my lap with me and go to Yellowstone or something and just sit there. But 2 thoughts on that. One is, how productive of a worker am I going to be if I know there's awesome nature right over there? And secondly is, I'm always concerned about bandwidth and internet and that kind of stuff. So that's one thought. The other is just being away from my family too long. But bring it back to the whole idea I had is, I think it's better just to pick, 3 or 4 good strategies that work for me, like my Aeroplan Caravan, Wyndham Vacasa, although that's dead now. American Airlines coming over from City, and just kind of master those and roll with those. That could be a whole nother video idea. Like, what partners have you mastered? Like they just fit you perfectly. Sleepy Rod says, I would watch your travel videos. Hot girl, hot guy travel videos are usually fake and embellished. They absolutely are. So there are videos out there you can find of people videotaping influencers that are totally ridiculous. Usually just normal people driving down the street happen to catch them. I saw one where the person videotaped a young lady, probably in her late 20s, in a car. She pulled up to like the side entrance to a store, some fancy store like Saks Fifth Avenue, which had an awning which said Saks, whatever the store was. She opened the back of her hatchback, got out 5 or 6 shopping bags. This was early in the morning, so the sun was up, but the store was closed. Walked up to the entrance, set up a tripod with a video camera, pretended to walk out of the store with all these shopping bags, like, looking all beautiful and like, I've just gone shopping. And she did that 4 or 5 times. She simulated shopping at a store, even though she wasn't. So yeah, there is a lot of fakety fake fakes there. Fleet says, not listed on the card for checked bags, nor explicitly on the sub, but worked for even a basic economy booking with the AA miles up. Oh, hey, got a free checked bag with the basic card. QC Man says, I'm younger than you and my beard is a lot grayer. Yours isn't too bad. Yeah, that's true. I actually have peers that are the same age as me, or, even 3 or 4 years younger, that are like fully gray. What surprised me is how quickly it came on, because I have videos from like 2 years ago I've watched where I had no gray at all. And now I'm starting to get the massive salt and pepper. I wish this patch right here would distribute a little more evenly. The salt and pepper doesn't bother me. Check Raise You says, I'm 40 and I act and look like I'm 27. Awesome. Gold Homer said, hey, I remember to join today. Welcome aboard, Homer. Sleepy Rod +1 says Fleet, not liking embellished videos. Chuck says, I just sent a bunch of points to British Airways, even though I have no idea what I'm going to redeem them on. I was testing. Tickle? Thank you, everyone. All right. Well, hey, that just about wraps it up. I don't see anything else going on, so let's go ahead and get to the comments. If you had a question earlier and I said, let's come back to that, please repost it because my memory is failing me. Juan Garcia, also known as Juan from Miami, gifted 5 Dugroz Reports memberships. Gentleman Explorer gifted 1. George Rommel gave $2.99. Rex donated 10 memberships. Awesome. Mike donated 20 memberships. Awesome. Ian donated $5. Nuracan donated $2. Mike donated $1.49. QC Man got 2,000, or no, QC Man 2,000 donated 1 membership, and John donated $1.99. Thank you all. I really appreciate it. Tio says, thanks, Dugroz. You're sure welcome. Last check of the tip jar. We are clear. Well, thanks for being on board, everyone. Click the thumbs up button on your way out the door. Remember, new members' videos are dropping almost every week, and you can become a channel member for $3 a month. Cancel anytime. As always, may your spending be frugal, and may your points be plenteous. Thanks.